Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and if you haven't guessed already, we're back on with the old abandoned Zeddy project, and I've had some packages arrive in the mail. So let's have a quick look what we've got here and then we can crack on. Right, so hopefully in here we've got something which will solve our keyboard issues. Just find something I can open this with. There we go. Let's make sure it's all down at that side there. I don't want to cut it while I get inside here. Oops. Nice well made packaging anyway. Right, there we go. Let's have a look. Keep your fingers crossed it's arrived all safe and well. Yay! So there we have a new reproduction ZX81 keyboard. Actually, it looks really good as well. It feels really good. Feels very similar to the original. In fact, if we have a look, it really cannot tell that that's a remake, apart from it says up there copyright 2014. But yeah, that should work really nicely. Right, so that's the first thing we have got. In fact, I'll put that back in there so it doesn't get damaged while we look at the other bits. So let's have a look in this bag. Some paperwork in here, so I've got to be a little bit careful. But right, let's see. I don't want to give my address away, but yes, there we go. So we have got some 32K SRAM chips. Now I know I said we were only going to upgrade this to 16K, but to be honest, it's actually easier and cheaper to buy 32K RAM chips as it is to buy the 16K ones. I was looking around online and the cheapest I could find the 16K RAM chips was about 7 or 8 quid each, and those were 3 for £6.50, so obviously I'll get the 32K ones, and we just won't bother using the other 16K of it. It is possible, if you know my other ZX81, the highly modified one, that's running 32K of memory, but it does need some extra logic in there and stuff, and obviously that has that data board, and it's actually not running one of these. It's actually running an old SRAM cache chip from a 486 motherboard. But for this project I am going to use one of these. But before we go to them, what I thought we would do, because a few people have asked me about it, is we're going to do a proper composite mod on this. If you've watched my previous videos on this, all I did was disconnect the modulator for a lot of the testing and just feed the signal straight into my little test monitor here. Now the thing is that JVC test monitor is a professional little composite test monitor. Really nice little thing that my mate Andy gave me. It is really tolerant of poor signals. You can just crank the brightness up a little bit and it'll still give quite a nice image. That can't be said for all composite video monitors. Some need quite a decent signal from the computer to actually drive them correctly. So we're going to build a little video amplifier basically to go in here, so we can just feed the signal out of here into pretty much any composite video monitor that we see fit to do it. Now with this being an issue 3 and this being probably a later issue 3, we can do what is basically the simplest of AV mods for a ZX81. It's just a little bit of an amplifier. If this was an issue 1 or one of the earliest of the early issue 3s, I believe still actually use the older ULA. You might get a decent signal out of this, but again you might not, because basically the very early ULAs really didn't produce much of a backporch for the video signal. It was, well, non-existent. They corrected that somewhat on the later iteration of the ULA, which is what this uses. So basically, if you've got one of these, there's a very good chance this will work. If you've got a issue 1 or you've got an issue 3 but it still uses the earlier ULA, it's a mixed bag basically. Sometimes you'll get an acceptable signal, other times you really need to build a more advanced circuit that actually creates a backporch and introduces that into the signal. There's a few different ways of doing it actually. I've been looking online. There's one way using a 555 timer, and I think I've seen a way using a few diodes as well, real back in the past. But like I said, we're going to go with the simple approach for this one, which essentially, I've printed it out so I can show you really. Let me get you down onto the unfortunately I can't find any of my nice yellow paper, which is actually a lot easier to show you on screen. But let me see if I can get you down a bit more so you can actually see this. Right, it's incredibly simple what we're doing. All we've got is an NPN transistor here. In this it's telling us to use a 2N3904. To be honest, just about any general purpose amplification NPN transistor will work for this. I've built this. This isn't a circuit that you just use in a ZX81. I've used this circuit in all sorts of different vintage micros to boost the signal. I use basically exactly the same in my Tandy TRS-80 Coco. I've used it in various games consoles and things like that. Like I said, just anywhere where you need to like boost the video signal up a little bit. What I'm using, I've actually got everything in a little bag here ready to go. Let's get all this out. So what I've got here is a this is a BC237, which is like, again, is just a general purpose switcher and amplification transistor. We've got a 100 ohm resistor, and we've got a I think I used about a 31 because it's what I had lying around, ohm resistor. That isn't necessarily needed. That basically goes there, that goes there, the transistor obviously goes there like that. But sometimes it just helps equalize the signal out a little bit, really. Excuse me. I've also, you don't need to use a circuit board to make this. You can do this all point to point if you really want. However, I like making it on a little printed circuit board, and all I've done, it's even just a scrap piece of Vera board I got out my scrap bin. As you can see, it's been used for something else in the past and I've recycled it. I've chopped a little bit of that off, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 5 pins along by that way, and we've got about, how many? 2, 4, 6, 8, we've got 9 along that way. Like I say, again, it's not critical, this. You could make it even smaller than this, but you'd involve breaking some tracks on the back to put the resistors in, and it would actually end up a little bit taller. This is going to be like really flat, and you'll see why in a minute what we're going to do with it. Right, so first things first, I'll take our transistor. Now fortunately this does have exactly the same pin out as the transistor there. So our center pin there is our base, and we have our emitter at the top there, and we have our collector at the bottom there. So we'll get that installed in the board. Like that. I want to leave it reasonably high up because I'm going to probably flatten this down in the end. So there is our transistor in there. Now we want to put the 100 ohm resistor from the emitter, which is at the top there, to ground. We'll take a 100 ohm resistor and we'll go between, in fact we're going to move that, I think we're going to move that back a little bit, give me a little bit more room. There, I think, yes, let's have it there. That's happy. Yeah, I'm happy with it there. Right. So basically, like I said, what we're going to do, we'll take this 100 ohm resistor, and that will go from the emitter there to ground. Sorry. Yep, to ground, and we'll have ground as this top piece up there. And push that in. And then we have our video 8 also coming off the emitter there through that little resistor. And we might as well have that on the other side, so we can come anywhere off there. Let's have it, say there. And we'll bend that over, put that on that track there. Again, get that to hopefully bend flat down. We might have to move that over a little bit. I'm trying to get, basically get the move that over a little bit. There we go, that should work. There we go, that's nice and flat down there like that. And bend them legs out. Let me get you so you can see this. Now in fact, what I should have done, I thought I'd actually clean that up. It's a little bit tarnished, that board, before we solder it. It would solder with plenty of flux, but let's take them components back out, because I'm not 100% happy with that. Let's take a little bit of wet and dry. Obviously you don't want to go too mad with this, or because you don't want to wear yourself through your copper tracers, but we'll just give that a little rub like that. You can see that's nice and shiny now. There we go, that's much better. And again, we'll put this back as I've just had it. So there we go, put that first transistor in. We'll take our 100 ohm resistor. In fact, I wonder if I could run that along the back. No, we'll put it where we had it before because it seemed to work quite nicely. So we'll put our 100 ohm resistor in there. And we'll take our, I think this is about 30 ohm, 32 ohm. We'll put that from there to over there. Push that down, push that down. So there we go. We'll just have to bend the legs out slightly to keep everything in place. Like that. And then we can solder those in place. Let me grab some solder. Just clean my iron off. In fact, I'll change my glasses as well, my other glasses, so I can see a bit better. Not a very good joint. There it is now. Just make sure like that we've just come up a little bit there when we solder that in. So let me just push, basically hold it with my finger, warm that up and just drop that so it's nice and flat with the board. The other one's okay. we go, that's the first lot, and then we've just got to solder these over to transistor legs. There we go, that's that one. I've got one more transistor leg just to solder there. Okay, there we go. Right, let's get those legs cleaned off, snipped off. Okay, there we go, there's our little video amplifier board. Now we need to connect some wires onto that so we can actually use it. Excuse me. Now our base connection, which is our centre connection there, is actually our video input connection. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a piece of wire like that. And I'm just going to connect that straight to the base. And I hope this is going to be long enough for what I want. Oops. I might even be able to do it the other way around. This gives us a little bit more playroom. Yeah. Put it on there like that. A little bit more solder. We'll solder that wire in place. Come on. There we go. So that's our video input wire there. Oops, you can't see what I'm showing you. That's our video input wire there. That on-screen piece of wire. Now, I will go in my little wire box. I want a little piece of red wire. That little piece of red wire is going to go to our emitter there. No, sorry, our collector, which is the bottommost pin down there. So we can connect to that there. What have we done with that solder? There it is. There we go. So that's our 5 volts then. Connected to the collector there. Then all we need is our ground, which goes to that 100 ohm wire, which is the next one along. So I'll find a little bit of black wire. We can solder that somewhere we want, about the same really. You see what I'm doing here? There we go. So that's our power wires. Then all we need is a video output wire. I've got a bit of a yellow wire here, that'll do. that's ready to go, and that is going to go here on between the emitter there and the I think I used about 31 ohm resistor, which is basically this one here. So if we connect, we can connect on that side there as well actually. Put that in over, oops, put that in over there. I'm getting you out of shot again, aren't I? Let's get you in shot a bit. There we go. I've got a longer piece of solder. There we are. Right, and we can solder that into place as well. Oops, that's dropped through. There we go. That's that one soldered in place. Oh, we'll just add a little bit of extra solder to that because I'm not completely happy with that one. There we go, that's better. There we are, it's gone right through now. Right, there we go. So basically, that's going to be our little video amplifier. So we've got, like I said, that's our video output, our amplifier video output. 5 volts to there, that goes to ground, and that goes to the video signal coming out of the ZX81. Right, what we're going to do, we will see if we can flatten that transistor down. A little bit of bending. There we go. Like that. I'm going to take a piece of heat shrink. Put my little board inside the heat shrink like that. We'll get the hot air on. In fact, I think I can cut some of this heat shrink down a bit. I don't think I need quite that much. There we go. Oops. I have done it, haven't I? I've cut through the one thing I said I wasn't going to do, and I've bloody done it. I've cut through the piece of wire I was trying to connect on there. Alright, let's get rid of that. Let's do that again. Had to do that, didn't I? Come on, get out. And of course now I've got the bit of wire I had stuck in the hole. There we go, that's free now. Right, let's see if we can sort that out. I don't think I've got a lead long enough anymore. That's just one random one I found. Let's see if I've got a piece of suitable wire. What I want is something really quite thin, you see. Ah, this'll do. I'll have to use this piece of grey. It will work just as well, to be honest. This is still solid core, it's just got an insulation on it. We'll put that through there and we'll solder that back in place and we'll pretend none of that ever happened. There we go. Right, there we are. So there's our video input wire. Like I said, our video output wire, our 5 volts and our ground. We'll take a little bit of heat shrink. In fact, let me neaten that up. There we go. Put that in there. Like that. We'll get a bit of heat on that. Oops. Just get that all shrunk down. The only reason we're doing this is it's just going to mean that this isn't going to short out where we actually put it. Right, there we go, that will do. And basically there we go, that is our little video mod there. It's all nicely encapsulated and sealed up, so it's not going to short on anything. So what we will do is I'll have a quick slurp of coffee. Very nice. I'll get you zoomed out a little bit. There we go, that's better, until I can get you up a little bit as well. Where's my other glasses? Could really do with some bifocals, to be honest, rather than keep swapping between my glasses, but anyway, never mind. Right, let's get this thing back open. Now, I haven't used it since that last video I made, but I can't see why it should have stopped working. We'll get the feedback off. Get the screws out. Now, these aren't really ideal screws either that are in the ZX, but fortunately I scrapped some modern junk the other day, and it yielded quite a nice little set of suitable screws. So we should be able to put this back with some decent screws when it goes back together. Oh yeah, we've got that one didn't even go in properly. I'll deal with that after, get that out of there, but we'll get that out of the way. I've got our ZX main board. I think that's one of the original screws. Right, let's get that out of the way. Now, the actual connector around there is cleaned up to a reasonable degree, so I'm quite, yeah, I'm reasonably pleased with that, to be honest. We'll pop the top of the modulator off though. There we go. Now, hopefully, there should be enough room in here to actually get that. Yes, I think we will just get away with it, basically to fit the little board that I've made down in there, put the lid back on, and no one will be any the wiser. Most people do just gut this and then you've got plenty of room, but I don't know whether at any point I want to swap this back and actually use it with an old TV. So I'd like to have this mod so it's actually reversible. What I will have to do though is disconnect that wire where I just bodged it back together for the previous video. So we'll disconnect that, and I'm going to be taking that out of the board. Might as well do that now. So just push it out. There we go. There we go, that's out. We'll have to clear that hole out, or else we won't get the new wire in. Where's my solder sucker? There he is. We got it? Yes, we have. Lovely. There we go, we've got a nice clean hole there. Right, what we are going to have to do inside is we want to basically disconnect the modulator from, in fact, could we, we We could leave the modulator in actually powered up and just tap the power off it, or we could actually disconnect the modulator. And I'm just seeing if we can actually get down there and still get to the power wire I want. What we may actually end up doing is gutting this, unfortunately. I was hoping not to. I was hoping to be able to keep the actual modulator, but then again, it is a slightly rusty one. I do have good modulators, which are nice and shiny and perfect, basically. So I might actually, yeah, because to be honest, if I wanted to use this for the TV, I could just use an external modulator. Yeah, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the modulator completely from the board, and we'll gut it. I know I said I wasn't going to, but no, in hindsight, it'll leave us more room to put that mod board in. And if I do, like I said, if I do want to use this with an old style black and white TV, I can just use an external modulator. So let's get this wire out. There we go, that's out. Clear that hole out. Kneel it. That got it. Right, so that's clear. Now let's see if we can walk the modulator off the board. We heat that pin up. Yeah, lovely. Heat that pin up. There we go. There we go, and we've got the modulator off. And pop this open. So look at the bottom's lovely and shiny, and then you get onto the sides and you can see the grot and corrosion from it. Get the bottom off. There we go. Oh dear. We certainly do have some corrosion in there. And there's the modulator board. Now, unfortunately, getting these out in one piece usually isn't easy. I'll give it a quick go. What I normally have to do, resort to, is just breaking it up, to be honest, to get it out of the board. In fact, what I'll do is I'll get this cleaned out, so I might have to take it down to the workshop and just knock it out with a chisel, which is what I've done before. I'll get all this cleaned out, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look at putting the little mod board in there. So I'll say back in a sec. Right, we are back. Unfortunately, I did have to kind of resort to the brute force approach to remove that. I did try my best to get it out in one piece, but it just wasn't having it. So, excuse me. Basically, we've got the little board I've made down in there. And I've fed the video input wire through. Unfortunately, when I broke that board out, I actually damaged that 5 volts wire that came through as well. So I ended up desoldering that, pulling it through, and just running the 5 volts wire straight through. So we are going to have 2 coloured wires coming out the end of the modulator like that, but it's not the end of the world, is it? But we have got our video signal that we can connect to the end there, and then we have our ground wire that we need to connect up as well. So we might as well get that done, get those two connected up, and then we can actually mount this back on the zeddy board. So what we will have to do, we just need to strip the end of that wire there. There we go. There we go. And we'll do the same with the ground wire. And tin them up. Some fresh solder I think I need. There we go. Clean the iron off. We'll just, oops, tin them up. We should be able to solder that ground wire to a bit of pre-tinned metalwork already in here, so let's just try and get that to solder down. There we go. Then we need to solder that to the phono output. Oops. There we go. Basically that's it. So we've got our little video amplifier board in there. That's the video output wire going straight to the phono plug there. Like I said, that's our video input wire. That's our 5 volts there. So we can basically, if we stick the top of the modulator on like that, people are really none the wiser. Apart from the fact that those wires have changed colour, people are really not going to be any of the wiser that anything's been done to that. I'll get these wires stripped off and ready to go back in the board, and then we'll have a look at putting this modulator back in the board. So yeah, we can take it from there. Hopefully I can do this with the scissors. There we go. Twist that around. And that should be just about the right length. Strip that one off. 2. There we go. Perfect. Let's get that twisted up a bit so it's going to go through the hole decent. Right, there we go. And we'll get this mounted back on the ZX board. Now that is going to go in that hole there. Let's get this mounted down. Oops, that one needs to go in that hole there, which it does. Lovely. Let's see if we can get this to mount. In fact, I haven't cleaned them holes out yet, so we're not going to get it to mount down properly, are we? So I need to clear out the solder holes there. Silly me. Add a bit of fresh solder on them. If worst comes to worst, we'll have to pull the oh no, there we go. So we might have to pull the desoldering station out, but no, that's got that one. Nearly there. Oops. Let's try it from that side. We've got a nice big ground plane on this side, that's why it was being a bit tricky. Oops, helps if you... There we go. Have we got it? I think this solder sucker could be due with a service as well. There we go, got it. Got it in the end. So that's the two holes unblocked. Yeah, they look alright now. Let's just check the holes for the video. They all look okay. So I said hopefully we can get this to go back in now. Let's give that another try. Slightly messed that wire up, so let's just tidy that up. Right, there we are. There we are, that's going to line up to there. Let's try heating that up, see if we can get it to go back through. There we are. Same with this one. I think we did slightly bend the pins when I extracted that board, so it is going to be a little bit trickier to get it back in, but there we are, that one's in. Just warm that back up. Just use my thumb just to push it down. There we go. So the board, it's sitting nice and flat again there. We'll solder them in place. Like that. Like that. Let's just check that video wire. That seems to look alright. I think that's in the right place as well. So we'll solder that in place. And solder a little bit on the large side. I'll have to find my other solder. And the power wire did just pop out, so we need to get that back where it should go, which is that end connection there. Find my tweezers. There's something I can get that. There we are. That's the new power and video wires back through there. Just need to solder that power wire in place. I've got some better stuff. Ah, there it is. I've got a thinner solder here which is more suited to this. That one's really more suited to when I'm working on like point-to-point valve stuff. Solder that back down. Just make sure I've got enough on that one. There we go, that's better. And snip them nice and flat. That one there. That off there. And there we go. So that hopefully is composite modded. And I've just realised I have moved the video cable that I was using to connect up my monitor here, so just bear with me a sec. I will find all my cables and we'll hook this thing up as it is now, and we'll just make sure we do have a nice decent crisp video image coming out of that. So back in a sec. Right, we're back and I've finally found my little BNC to phono lead, because the back of this is all BNC. So we'll connect that up. If you remember correctly, last time I connected it up with this I was using some croc clip leads. We've got some power here, so let's see whether the video mod is going to work. So let's plug in. Ooh, that wasn't very good. It might just be that we got a bad connection. Then let's try again. Yeah, there we go. And actually that doesn't look bad at all. That looks pretty good. Now, reasonably nice black for the actual cursor there. The white's pretty good. We've still got actually loads of brightness in that as well, as where last time I had it absolutely maxed out to be able to get a reasonable picture on it. So composite mod is a success on this. It's much easier on these later issue 3 boards than it is on the like issue 1 boards, and I think it was just a very few of like the first of the issue 3 ones might have used that original ULA, which still have the same issues as this. So right, we've got that far with it. We'll get that unplugged. I think what we will look at next, well, I tell you what we'll look at next, and that's this connector here. Because although we are going to be doing a RAM upgrade on this, so it's not going to need a 16K RAM pack plugged into it to allow us to do anything useful with it, or at least play some games on it or what have you. You ever want to like connect a joystick adapter or something like that up to the edge connector, it's not as bad as it was when I first got the computer, but it's still not exactly brilliant, and I have given it a really good clean. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a go at re-tinning the edge connector along there. So what we will do is we'll grab some liquid flux, and we'll get some decent solder braid. And I've already cleaned this numerous times, but I don't suppose it'd do any harm to just give it another quick clean before we start this. So we'll get some IPA on it, give it a quick spray down. I'll grab a Q-tip, and we'll just give that just clean down with yeah, cause it's still coming off with muck, that. Right. We will get some, let's get that out of the way, we don't need that now. And we'll get some flux on there. Probably quite a bit there. I've got some fresh solder. I'll switch that off because I don't need that on. I'm just going to add, let's clean that iron off first because it's looking a bit manky. Right, there we go. I'm just going to add a little bit. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to hold on the pins for too long, because you don't want to risk trying to, lifting one of these pads, not pins, pads, sorry, off the board, which you could potentially do. What we want to do is just add a little bit of fresh solder to these. Most of this will be taken off again in a minute. I just want to get a little bit on the board. Right, there we go. And we'll take some solder braid. And I'm going to dose this up with some flux. Now this has got a flux in it, but I always like just to add a little bit of my own, like that. And then we're going to go in, I'll clean my iron off, nice clean iron. And we're going to go in and we're basically going to wipe off most of that solder that we've just added. But what it will do, as it comes off, it will leave a very thin coating of fresh solder on them on that edge connector. Just a case of going along nice and methodical. It can take a while this, so it's not something you want to really rush at. So we're pretty much taking all that solder we've just put on there back off and just leaving a very, very thin coating of solder on those fingers of the edge connector. So when I've done this, I've also got the other side to do, but this is what we have to do. There we go. Lovely. Right, so those have basically all had a nice fresh coat of solder, and we'll get some IPA and we'll clean all that flux off, and then we'll re-inspect it and see if there's anywhere else. Like there, I can notice that I've left a little bit too much solder on in one place, just there, so I'll have to go over and redo that. I'll just go in and do that now. Just cut that off so I can use it. Just there was a little bit of excess solder on that one, and there we go, lovely. So those are, I think you can make that out, those are right quite nicely tidied up then. If we look at the fact the bottom isn't quite as bad, I'll go on basically do exactly the same to these. I won't bore you with that because you've seen how I do it, and then we'll come back and I'll give the board a little bit of a clean up in the meantime, and we can go on to the next thing, which I think is going to be swapping that out and seeing if we can get ourselves 16k on this thing. So I will say back in a sec. Right, we're back, and that's cleaned up reasonably well, as you can see there. It's a bit more shiny than it was, same on the back side there. I might have to just go over that a little bit more and take a little bit more of the extra solder off, but I thought what we'd do, we might as well get on and we'll do the RAM upgrade, even though I've just managed to throw all my RAM chips everywhere. Put those two back in there. And we'll pick the one up off my knee, which fortunately didn't fall on the floor. Now these are a Hyundai brand IC, and they're like I said, these are 32k by 8. So we can pull out that 2k RAM IC that we've got there. Where's my little pulley thing gone? There it is. We'll get that out. There we go. I can go back in my stash. And this is what is going to basically go in, but we can't just put that in there and it work, because this was never designed to have 16k on board, and there's various address lines here which basically don't go to where they should go on the board. So what we need to do is we need to bend a few of the pins of this out of the way, and then we'll connect them differently. So what we need to bend out is basically at the top there, when you pin one out, which is that top pin there, so we'll bend that so it's not making contact with the socket like that. We also need to bend out pins 26, 23 and 21. So that's pin 1. I don't think there's actually any more on this side. I think the other, let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now 21 we need to bend out, which is, I tell you what, rather than me carrying that, I'll bend all these pins out and we'll come right back once I've done that. So back in a sec. Right, okay, there we go. So as you can see, we've got pin 1 bent out there, Then we've got pin 21, 23 and 26 bent out there. Then what we can do is we can put that into the board like that, and all we need to do basically is hook these 4 connections up to the correct address lines, and that will give us our 16k of memory. So basically pin 1, which is that pin there, we need to take to well, in this case we're going to take it to address A11. It doesn't actually matter which way you get the address lines round actually when you're doing this, because the RAM doesn't care. Providing they each get an address line, it will work. And what we can do, rather than run like over to the CPU, which is what I've done on my other ZX81, and actually pull them pins directly off the CPU. But that, like I said, that's a computer that I mess with and fiddle about and experiment with. What we can do is we can actually pick them up off this set of diodes down here, which is to do with the keyboard. If we come onto this side of them, we can basically pick those address lines up from there. So what did we say we want? We want pin 1, and basically we want that to go to D1, which is diode 1 there. So let's find some suitable wire. We want something nice and thin for doing this, really. Look in my wire box. And that's perfect. That's actually some wire wrap wire, which is nice and thin and is ideal for doing something like this with. So I'll do the first one on camera, and then we'll come back when I've got all the rest done, or else we're going to be making the video far too long. I'll cut that down. I'll tin that wire up. Okay. And also what we need to do is we need to tin the pins on the IC up. Now, you're probably best doing this with it off the board, but I'll be careful. There we go. Bit on there, bit on that one, a little bit more to that one, and a little bit more to that one. There we go. Take our first wire, I'll lay that on pin 1 there. We'll solder that in place. Oops. We've got a nice solid connection there now. We'll see how much wire we need to get that round to I suppose if I was being really neat, I could actually go through the board and do it. No, we'll do it this way. So we'll run that over, decide how much wire we're going to need. I'll snip that off there. Now, if we're being super neat at this, come on. There we go. You always get one that's going to be awkward. There we are. Yeah, and this one's being awkward, it's not. There we are, finally. So stripped a bit of the wire off at the end there. We'll tin that up, and then that can be connected to D1. Now, where has my solder gone? There it is. And don't worry, I will bring you down for a closer look when this is all done so you can actually see how it's connected up. I suppose if we're being really nice, we should put a little bit of heat shrink on that just to make it look a little bit neater. Just tidy that connection up. Yeah, let's do that. Where's my heat shrink? I mean, there shouldn't really be anything that can touch it, but you never know, do you? So what have I just done with my... Oh, there it is, it's up there with my heat shrink. I want a really thin one. That should do. You can just feed that over the wire there. It over where we've cut that pin, and I'm just going to heat that and shrink it in place. There we go. Just looks that little bit neater. I've got that already tinned up. I'll just put in a little bit of extra solder on that leg of D1. We could actually lift the diode if we wanted and put the wire through the hole, but this should be fine. Bring that round. There's my tweezers so I can hold it. There we go. Oops, no, haven't got it then. Just bear with me a second, folks. I think I need my other glasses. I can't quite see what I'm doing with them. Let's swap over to my other glasses. That's tons better. It's amazing how much better it is when you can see what you're actually doing. There we go. We've got it there. Yes, that's it. I'll just push that wire so it's nice and flat to the board and make it look as neat as I can. Right, that's the first wire in. So what I'll do is I'll do the other wires and we'll come back and I'll get you right down on the board so you can actually see what I've done, and then we can see whether it's going to work. So I'll say back in a sec. Right, that is all done. As you can see there, hopefully you can see what we've done here. So we've got pin 1 there, as you saw, going over to this side of that row of diodes there, and that's D1. Then we've got pin 26 over here. That runs all the way along as well, and pin 26 we've got going over to D5. And then we've got pin 23 down here, and we've got the little piece of wire, and that's running over to D3. And then obviously we've got pin 21 there, and that's going all the way over to D2 over there. And those are literally just tin the tops of the diodes and just tack the wires on. So the whole reason I'm doing it this way, this was actually a way I spotted on oh, what was his it wasn't a YouTube channel, it's like a blog that the chap does, and or at least used to do. I can't remember what it's called now. But anyway, basically, this is a way of doing it where it's completely reversible. The other way of adding 16K in here involves cutting some traces and running some bodge wires underneath and stuff. Time Mouse Software, that was the chap that did it this way, and I think it's a much better way of doing it, because basically if you pull that chip out, you desolder those wires, you can put a standard RAM chip back in there, and it doesn't, you know, no one can tell you've actually modified the computer at all. So it's a really nice way of doing this, where it's completely reversible. It's 100% reversible. So the point is, has it worked? Oh, and I never even told you what IC I've used. So these are Hyundai, and it's a GM75C256CLL-70. So it's far quicker than it really needs to be for this project and everything. And like I say, it's 32K rather than, let me get you zoomed out a bit. It's 32K rather than 16K, but they actually work out considerably cheaper than a 16K SRAM. We'll get you up onto the screen and we'll get this thing connected back up, and we'll see if it's actually going to work. Basically, the way we will know that it's working straight away is if it takes longer than a second for that cursor to come up there, because it's basically counting up the RAM. We know we've got the full 16K. If it comes on like that, bang, as soon as we apply power, it's still only working as like a 1K machine. So let's switch the monitor on, and we'll put the video in there like that. And just a minute, somewhere on the floor, there it is. We've got some power. We'll plug power into it, and let's see how long it takes to actually bring anything up, if it works indeed. So we'll plug in, and that is a 16K machine. Do you see the amount of time it actually took then before we actually got the cursor on screen? So that is working as a 16K machine. Fantastic. In fact, we'll just try that again. So I remove power, put power into it, and we'll wait, and then it comes up. So yeah, that is definitely working as a 16K zeddy. Right, excellent. So we have our composite output done. We have a full 16K of memory on board. So I suppose the next thing we need to do, let me get you in a better position. In fact, I can take that strap off while I'm fiddling about with this, because it does restrict me somewhat. I'll get you up a little bit. Sorry about that if I give you a headache. Right. Let us have a look at this keyboard. Let's see about getting the old keyboard off. This can always be fun on these. I did actually cut what was remaining of the old ribbon connector off, just to give me a bit more space in the case. I might have to try and get a pick under one corner or something. There we are. Oh, that's just, well, let's see how the keyboard's made inside. That's the old membrane in there. Let's see if we can pop that off. There we go. Got it. We should be able to just peel the old keyboard membrane out. Have to be careful because this case is rather fragile. It's coming. If it's really stubborn, you could perhaps use a little bit of heat to help here, but actually it's not coming off too bad, this. There we go. That's the old membrane gone. I'll just get a bit of IPA in there. We'll give it a quick clean up. Get some cotton buds. There was only a little bit I'm not really worried about this bit of glue, to be honest, because that won't be a problem. It's just like rounding these edges here where it was a bit disgusting. We might as well get in there while we can here, while there's nothing there, and see if we can get some of it, as you can see, get some of the ick that we would never have got out otherwise out of here. If you remember where this zeddy's come from, it does have somewhat ingrained dirt and pigeon poo in it. So anything we do like this to clean some of that out while we can is the good thing. Right. And get some of that old glue off. In fact, what I will do is I'll just quickly pause the video. I'll go and get some, I don't think I've got any in here. I'll go and get some kitchen. Look at that. Yuck. Go and get some kitchen paper. And I can scrape the little last remaining bits of that glue off and what have you, and just see if we can get it as clean as possible before we apply the new membrane. So back in a sec. Right, well, there we go. I'm giving that a clean with some kitchen paper. I've got all the bits of glue off and everything, so I think we're ready to add the new keyboard membrane. Well, keyboard really in the case of one of these. There we go. There's the new ZX81 keyboard. Now we have to basically peel the back off, feed it through, get it in the right place and stick it down. You only get one chance at this. If you get it wrong, then you're going to have a bit of a messy looking keyboard. I think that's going to go on nicely there though. So the way I like to do this, if we fold it over, I'm just going to fold the back of the sticky down a little bit, basically like that, and fold it. So I've got basically a little thing I can get hold of. Now we'll put that back through, we'll get that lined up where we want it to. And then we can hold that in place and pull the sticky off, pull the backing off. There we go. And you're already basically nearly there. You can just essentially want to stick the top first, like that. Make sure the top's down, and then just get the keyboard to basically go in like that. Give it a quick rub over. That's it. That's gone down quite nicely. That's come through there exactly where we want it to. I'll just get a bit of this and just give it a quick rub over. Make sure it's all stuck down properly. You know, I did used to work making vinyl lettering and signage at one point, so I do kind of go a bit over the top than most people on this, because when you're doing vinyl, and it's kind of essential. Make sure you don't have any air bubbles or anything. Right, there we go. That is the new keyboard installed. So all that it really leaves me to do now is get this installed in there. I've already cleaned both those up, so we know that they're going to work. We need to make sure we get this the right way around, which is like that. And then we can get the two ribbon cables. That one's connected in. That one's connected in. I should really have my anti-static strap on while I'm messing with the main board. Oops. Push that back into place. Get everything set up. That is where the standoff comes through, which is there. Right, we'll get them new screws that I designated for this out, because these are just about right. I think. Oh yeah, they'll be just about right if I actually got them over the correct hole. Oops. This might be a little bit fiddly. Oops. There it is. There's the hole. There we are. Lovely. I'll screw that down. Okay. So basically we've got the main board there. Unfortunately we do have one standoff missing on this, but once it's all back in and the bottom of the case on it actually holds it all pretty much perfectly. Right, I will get the rest of this back together and we'll come back when we've got it all back together and we can actually test it. So I will say back in a sec. Right, okay, I'm back and there we are. It is all back together. I've got all new screws and put the feet back on. I haven't put any new glue on these are just held on with the original glue for the moment, but I will probably go and just put a little bit of extra double-sided adhesive under them when I'm absolutely finished and I know I'm not going to have to open it up again. But first thing we need to do, we've put the new keyboard in, we've connected it all up. Let's do a final test and just be absolutely sure that this Zeddy is now back into full working order. So I'll grab my power lead off the floor. We'll apply some power. Let the old monitor warm up, and we'll grab the RF lead. Now the case is not perfect, it's still a little bit, you know, there. Nothing I can do about that, just with the sheer damage that was to this case. Remember, this thing came out of an abandoned building. It had been in there for God knows how many years. It's been stood on multiple times. I'm actually really pleased with how good I've actually managed to get the case. I'm not even going to bother repainting the ZX81 badge there. I like the wear on it. Well, let's plug it into some video and we'll grab the power lead. We'll plug that in and hopefully, obviously, there we go. So that is definitely booting up as our 16K ZX81. And moment of truth, can we actually type anything on it? Let me see if I can get you down onto the screen there. So yeah, 10, print. Let's get our little shift symbol up. Let's do the old hello world. Oops, that's the wrong so I press shift and rub out. L, hello, space, there's space, world, O, 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 D. And actually, as ZX keyboards go, that doesn't feel too bad. It types nicely for a ZX81 keyboard. Hit new line, let's take in that, 20, go to 10, that's all working nicely. New line again, let's just run that, and there we go, it's working. So basically we have managed to restore the abandoned ZX81. We now have a fully repaired, fully functioning 16K composite modded ZX81. And it's not been easy. This has taken a lot of work to get back into working order. We've had to change the CPU in it. Unfortunately, and this is the one that really this was not viable to repair, apart from the fact I had one, is that we had to put a new ULA in it. Obviously we've replaced the original RAM with a 16K upgrade. That has actually been quite fortunate for me, because it means I've got some of them 2114s to go in my stocks, because I didn't have any in case I need one for a repair in the future, so I've got those for my repair stocks, and this thing is a little bit more usable now. Now I will do one more video on this. I want to get this video out because it's already quite long, and I've not put a video up for a little bit of time because I've been waiting for those parts to come in. And incidentally, the only reason I've been able to do this and do the keyboard, upgrade the RAM and everything on it, is down to you guys watching my videos, because my YouTube revenue, which tiny little thing it is, I don't make thousands on YouTube or anything like that. I don't even make hundreds on YouTube, but I made enough over the last 6 months to pay for the new keyboard membrane for this and the RAM chip and what have you. So it's all down to you guys watching my videos that this has actually been possible to do. So I'm going to say thanks for watching for now. Like I said, there's going to be another video on this where we'll get it running some 16K software. We'll try it with a few different, you know, monitors, some LCD monitors and what have you. Might even try a joystick interface. I've got a couple of ZX81 compatible joystick interfaces kicking about, which will test us out that Edge Connect to make sure that Edge Connect is absolutely A1 and tickety-boo now. And we'll have a little bit of fun with it. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video, actually seeing us finally get this thing up to a usable, workable condition again. So I'll say, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.